This episode of Hot Cup Cold Case contains disturbing details about a violent crime and may not be appropriate for some listeners. Hey, I'm Brant.
I'm Rachel.
And this is Hot Cup,
Cold Case,
where every couple of weeks we invite you into our apartment and share with you the two things that keep us up at night. And the first is a hot cup of caffeine. And what's the second, Rach?
a cold case.
That's right.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. A minute ago when you said, hey, this is Brant, I don't know, the way you said it, I thought you were going to say, hey, you cool cats and kittens. I could have sworn that's what you were about to say.
When have I ever said that?
No, that's what What's-Her-Name says on Tiger King.
Oh, Carol Baskin.
Yeah. So I swear, I don't know, it's just like the tone that you said it in.
So this episode is going to be a little different from our standard format. As I mentioned a couple episodes ago, I've been working 2 jobs. The whole world is in quarantine. Things are upside down right now.
Yeah, you'll just have to bear with us during these times.
So I know we're shaking up the format just a little, but we're planning to share a closed case for our next episode. We're still fascinated by true crime, and we still love sharing that fascination with you. So grab your mugs and buckle up, because this episode, I'm going to share a cold case, and then Rach wanted to share a mugshot story, but I told her no.
Yeah, that's so rude.
Because I have a mugshot story that she needs to hear. And before we even get into any of that, I've got some Lori Vallow case updates for you. And before we even get into that,
Let's catch up.
we would love to hear about how you guys are doing in quarantine. And you can always email us or message us. But since you can't talk to us right now,
You're stuck listening to us.
talk about ourselves.
Yes.
So first of all, we celebrated Mother's Day without leaving the apartment. We tried to make it as special as we could, so my daughter and I brought you breakfast in bed.
Yes, it was delicious. French toast, strawberries, coffee.
And you didn't know I knew how to make French toast, did you?
No,
After 10 years of marriage, and I still surprise you.
it's been 11.
Oh, yeah. Well, it feels like only 10.
Great. That's awesome.
And also for Mother's Day, I got you a gift that won't be here until August.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Brant pre-ordered Midnight Sun for me, which is the latest of the Twilight saga. I am a closeted Twilight lover.
You do carry a lot of shame about it. Do you want to tell them how you became a Twilight fan?
It was one night in our first house. We were just scrolling through all the channels and Brant just turns on the first Twilight. And I literally yelled at him and gave him a lecture. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Take that off the TV. I do not want to watch that. It's such a waste of time.
And I was like, I just want to see what all the hype is about.
And then Brant had a couple friends that came over and they did like a little bonfire in the backyard. And I watched that one and the next one. And then I went out and bought the books to finish the series because I became quickly obsessed.
I created a monster. And just in case there are any other fans of Twilight out there, why don't you tell them if you're Team Jacob or Team Edward?
For sure, Team Edward. Always.
And I am unashamedly Team Jacob. But I look like Edward. Pasty, white, undead, skinny.
Always cold.
Very true. So it makes a lot of sense that
It really does.
you would fall in love with Robert Pattinson. And speaking of, if you did not know already, he is going to be the next Batman.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be able to see him as anything than Edward Cullen.
Well, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. From a vampire to a Batman.
Oh, gosh.
We also had something kind of interesting happen recently. The Caters News Agency, who apparently searches the globe for interesting videos they can sell to news networks, like late night talk shows and stuff, contacted us requesting permission to air our quarantine Olympic game videos that we posted on our Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, but we don't really trust people, so...
Yeah, full disclosure, I did not give them permission.
But it was cool.
It sounded like a scam. I just kept thinking, my life is not that interesting. There is no way some news agency in Australia wants to market this video. Although it was probably totally legit. We could have been famous in Australia.
No, I don't think so.
I probably just missed my opportunity to meet Hugh Jackman. Well, are you ready for a Lori Vallow case update?
I very much am.
So this case has actually gotten so much attention lately that Lori is actually being outfitted in bulletproof vests for her court hearings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a lot has come out during these court hearings. Other than her missing children, Tylee and JJ, Lori has another son named Colby who's now grown. But he says that when he was growing up, he was sexually abused by his stepdad, which is Lori's second husband, Joe Ryan, also Tylee's father. And Lori's brother, Alex, found out about that abuse and attacked Joe with a stun gun in a parking lot and later admitted he was planning to kill him. This is the same brother, Alex, who would eventually go on to actually kill another one of Lori's husbands, Charles Vallow. But Joe managed to get away, and Alex later served 90 days in jail.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Also, 3 months before Charles was shot by Lori's brother, Alex, Charles texted one of his friends, quote, "I'm thankful Lori doesn't see JJ. She wants him, and for me, to disappear. Seriously. It's the freakiest thing I've ever experienced. She's with a group of people called Woke and Preparing a People. She actually believes I'm not Charles. She says an evil spirit named Nick Schneider murdered me and is using me to violate her." End quote.
I don't even think you can make this stuff up.
It is so bizarre. So Angela Stone, a woman who was also part of the same religious doomsday prepping organization as Chad Daybell, recently told reporters that she has a good idea of what those text messages Charles sent to his friend are referring to. She has since renounced her former beliefs, but told reporters that what Chad and his religious circles preach is very different from what 90% of Mormon churches are preaching today. Apparently, they believe that people and even things are often possessed by evil spirits, and she told reporters that if her computer wasn't working, Chad would rebuke the evil spirit he believed was inhabiting it. She also claims that Chad told her he believed his wife Tammy was supposed to be killed in a car accident and was now possessed by an evil spirit, like a, quote, zombie.
Yeah, I think that's all a front just to get rid of people.
The details in this case just keep getting more and more strange. So that's all the case updates I have for you for now, but we'll give you new updates in future episodes as they come available. So tonight's cold case may be one you've heard of, especially for someone who wants to be a private eye.
Yes, okay.
But this case has come to be known as the Snapchat murders. Sound familiar? Not the Snapchat murderer. That's a whole different case.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, we'll get into that one in a future episode.
I don't know if I know of this one.
So this case has actually been the focus of entire podcasts. I think there's one out there right now called Down the Hill, but it takes place in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were best friends.
Oh, yes, I do know this case.
They attended the 8th grade at the Delphi Community High School in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. They not only played on the same volleyball and softball teams, but they both played saxophone in the school band.
Like you.
Yes, I played the saxophone in junior high, and I continued to play for our high school marching band. Actually, my mom has a photo of me in my marching band uniform from 2005 hanging in her house. I'll have to ask her if she can take a photo of it and share it on our Instagram. But in it, I have bleach blonde hair because apparently I thought looking like a member of a 90s boy band was cool.
It's very sexy, babe.
And I'm holding my baritone saxophone, or the Barry sax, as the kids call it. And in fact, I was the only Barry sax player in the band. So I'm not making this up. They called me the Barry Saxy guy.
Oh my gosh. What, didn't you have a t-shirt and it said that?
Yeah, oh yeah. It was made for me, but I wore it proudly. Well, back to Abigail and Liberty. Abigail, or Abby as she was known, was an only child whose father hadn't been around since before she was even born. She lived with her mother Anna and her grandmother. Liberty, or Libby as she was known, hadn't seen her parents since she was 3. And since then, she and her older sister Kelsey had been living with her grandparents Mike and Becky Patty. So on Sunday, February 12th of 2017, Abby's mother Anna took both Abby and Libby to the park where they played catch for a while. Afterwards, Libby asked if Abby could spend the night at her house. Anna obliged and dropped the girls off at Libby's house for the night. The next day, Monday, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, was a school holiday, so the girls weren't required to attend classes. Abby's mom, Anna, was in between shifts at work when she spoke to her daughter on the phone that day, and Abby asked her mom if she could spend the day at Libby's house, and Anna agreed she would pick her up when she got off work around 8 that evening. Later that day, Libby asked her older sister Kelsey if she would take them to the Monon High Bridge Trail, a local hiking trail just east of Delphi. But Kelsey refused. Liberty was familiar with the trail, which was actually frequented by many locals. It features an old abandoned railroad bridge that crosses over a ravine in the woods, and the girls really wanted to go.
And I think it was unnaturally warm on that day, because February in Indiana can get quite chilly. But I think that day was a really nice day.
So they begged Kelsey to drop them off, and eventually she gave in. Kelsey then drove the girls out to County Road 300 North and dropped them off at the trail around 1:35 p.m. that afternoon. Libby's father, Derek, had agreed to pick the girls up a couple hours later around 3:15. Together, the girls disappeared down the path and into the woods. At 2:07, Libby posted 2 photographs on her Snapchat, which I'll show you now, Rach, and I'll also share these on our Instagram. Okay, here's the first pic. Do you want to explain to him what it looks like?
Yeah, so it is a very long, rickety wooden bridge, and a beautiful young girl is standing on it.
That's Libby.
Abby's not in the picture, but I would assume Abby's holding the camera.
Right. And the second photo is here.
She's quite the little photographer, I have to say.
Yeah, it's really artistic. It's just this black and white photo taken from the middle of the track, with the tracks disappearing into the horizon.
Uh-oh, cops again.
Hold on, guys. The cops are showing up to my neighbor's house for the second time this month.
I gotta be nosy. I wanna go see.
We're very nosy neighbors. We'll be right back. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Patreon, it's kind of like a tip jar for podcasts. And if you really enjoy our podcast and you want more, if you go to our website, hotcupcoldcasepodcast.com, you'll see a link for our Patreon where you can subscribe and get access to exclusive episodes that we will not be releasing on any other streaming service. And we're calling these our Red Eye episodes. Normally, a red eye is a drink that Rach and I order at our coffee shop because it has an extra shot of espresso to keep us awake. But our red eye episodes are stories that have an extra shot of strange that will definitely help keep you awake. And here's a sample of what you can expect from a red eye episode. There are some cold cases that keep us up at night because they're unsolved. And then there are those that haunt us because they're unexplained. These are stories of people, places, and events with an extra shot of strange. Hot Cup Cold Case presents Red Eye, True Stories of the Unexplained. Okay, we're back.
We don't know what's going on. But I gotta tell you, I have never seen so many people take walks in the rain before.
Yeah, we're not the only nosy neighbors for sure.
I have seen at least 10 different people walk by right now.
Okay, let's get back to the case.
All right.
So, should we take a moment to explain Snapchat to our daughter who might be listening to this in the future?
I think she will already know.
Well, just in case you don't, Snapchat is an app on your phone that allows you to exchange photos and videos with all of your friends that can only be viewed once before disappearing entirely.
And usually in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, because apparently the app was originally developed so people could exchange lewd photographs and videos of themselves without the fear of someone else ever discovering them later.
But you can still screenshot.
Right. And it later became popular among young people who were tired of seeing their grandparents' comments on Facebook. So they all migrated over to Snapchat. I actually enjoy old people's comments on Facebook. In fact, Rach, your mother recently made a comment on Facebook that I cannot stop laughing about.
It was the best.
It all started when I heard you bust out laughing from the other room the other day.
Oh my God, I was laughing so hard. I was crying.
Rachel proceeded to show me this string of comments on a post her brother had made. He was talking about how passionate your mom gets when she's playing games online on her phone, and then proceeded to talk about how he gets very passionate about online gaming as well. And one of his friends commented and said something like, "You're trash, bro." And your mom quickly commented, "He's not trash, you boob."
In all of my life, I'm not sure I've ever heard her call anyone a boob. She would have used much different language.
Yeah, your mom is one of the reasons I'm still on Facebook. Do you remember MySpace?
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who are younger and never got to enjoy setting up a MySpace, what I'm about to say is going to sound completely made up, but I swear to you it's true. MySpace actually allowed you to rank your top 10 friends by arranging them in numerical order on your profile. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do. It was savage for sure.
So if any of your closest friends ever did anything that hurt your feelings, the first thing you would do wasn't talk to them about it. It was log into your MySpace profile and lower their rank in your top 10 list. And then you would wait for them to notice. Okay, back to Libby and Abby again. So about an hour after Libby shared these photos, her father Derek arrived at the trail to take her and Abby home. But when Derek didn't see either one of the girls at the rendezvous point, he decided to call his daughter. And all he got was Libby's voicemail. So he tried again several times, but she never answered.
Which has to be terrifying for a parent.
So Derek started walking along the trail in search of the girls. And on the way, he crossed paths with a man in a plaid cotton shirt and stopped him to ask if he had seen two young girls along the path. The man said he had seen two people on the bridge.
Someone's getting arrested. There is a person between them.
Snap.
Someone got arrested. It's a girl. Man, that is a long walk of shame.
She literally just walked like halfway down the block in cuffs.
I think it's that mother and daughter.
Sorry, guys. Our neighbor was just getting arrested.
We live in a decent area. I know the crime rate that Brant shared was shocking, but I have never seen anything negative in our apartment complex or in our surrounding area. Okay, back to the case.
Okay, so the man that Derek spoke to said he had seen two people on the bridge. So Derek continued down the trail towards the old railroad tracks. But by 4 o'clock that afternoon, when he still hadn't seen the girls, Derek began calling family members in the hopes that maybe someone else had heard from them. Abby's mom, Anna, was still at work when she heard the news that the girls were missing, and she said, quote, "I didn't overly panic at first because I thought they were at the park and had lost track of time," end quote. Meanwhile, Derek and his family began calling their friends to inquire if anyone had seen the girls. And by 4:15, a number of them had already joined him at the trail to help search for the girls.
I'd be losing my mind.
Abby's mom, Anna, said, quote, "We called friends, knocked at houses, and posted on Facebook to see if anyone knew where they were. I was pacing the sheriff's office thinking, she is so grounded. At that point, I was certain they'd got lost. They were good kids. They didn't take off without telling anyone," end quote. So by 5:30 that evening, the girls' families had contacted the Carroll County Sheriff's Department to report the girls' disappearance. Police officers were immediately dispatched to the local trail along with tracking dogs. And as the sun began to set, Anna joined one of the search parties using flashlights to look in the river that ran beneath the railroad bridge. At that point, she felt like it was necessary to remind them, quote, "We are not looking for bodies. We are looking for two grounded little girls," end quote. But due to the dying light, officials eventually suspended their search until the following day, while many of the girls' family and friends continued to search for them all through the night.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop either. The next day, which was Valentine's Day, officials resumed their search and began coordinating their efforts from the local fire department headquarters in town. Anna was there around noon that day talking to someone on the phone when her old pastor approached her and said he needed to talk to her. And Anna said, quote, "I knew it wasn't good. before he said it, I knew what he was going to say.
Mm.
He told me the girls had been found and they were not alive.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember much after that for the next day or so. My life just fell apart. End quote.
I just can't even imagine being in that situation as a mom.
So around noon that day, the girls' bodies had been discovered side by side beneath some undergrowth along the bank of Deer Creek, about half a mile from the abandoned railroad bridge. And along with their bodies, investigators also discovered the girls' phones. Police didn't release any details about how the girls were murdered to the public, but the next day, investigators did announce that they were looking for a person of interest in the case, and they released a frame from a video they had recovered from Libby's phone. So the video frame is a grainy image of a white male heading directly towards the camera, and I'm going to show you that frame now.
All right, so we got jeans, dark blue, zip-up jacket. The picture is really blurry.
Well, a few days later, police officially stated that this man in the video frame was the prime suspect in the deaths of the girls. Then, a week later, on February 22nd of 2017, police released a muffled audio clip from that same video they had recovered from Libby's phone. Investigators discovered that Libby had apparently managed to secretly record this man on the bridge by stuffing her phone in her pocket during their encounter.
So the girls obviously were creeped out by him, and the foresight of a 14-year-old girl to take a picture and then try to record is absolutely incredible to me.
Yeah, investigators believe that she knew she was in danger. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip for you. It's very short, but I'll play it a couple times in a row.
Guys. Down the hill. Guys. Down the hill.
He's saying, guys, down the hill. And you can hear the sound of what may be leaves crunching beneath footfalls.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I definitely feel like he had to have been watching them.
Yeah, some people have speculated that he may have even seen them arrive at the trail earlier that day and had followed them. Police also indicated that they had recovered additional evidence from Libby's phone, but were keeping it to themselves so as not to compromise any future trial. And a reward was set at $41,000 for any information leading to the arrest of this guy in the video. By July 17th, with no new leads, police released a composite sketch of the suspect. And here's that sketch. We'll post all of this on our Instagram for you guys listening as well. So a couple years passed, and then in April of 2019, a little over a year ago from the date of this recording, police released another sketch, but this time it was a significantly younger man. Here's that sketch.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, they look nothing alike.
No, detectives announced that this guy they were now looking for was another suspect in the case who had been seen around town the day the girls disappeared. So a couple months after that, in July of 2019, police announced they were investigating a 55-year-old man named Paul Etter. Etter lived in Tippecanoe County, about 25 miles from where the girls went missing, and he had recently been charged with the kidnapping and rape of a 26-year-old woman. It took 8 days for police to track him down, and when they finally showed up to arrest him, they suddenly found themselves involved in a 5-hour standoff before Etter unexpectedly shot and killed himself. Investigators did manage to collect DNA from Etter, but never released any information regarding the results of their analysis, other than to say that they still consider him to be a possible suspect. So it must have not been a complete match to anything they had. And it's been more than 3 years since the girls were murdered, with 30,000 leads.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, and still no answers. And multiple suspects. If you actually Google this sketch, you'll get served images of like 4 or 5 different guys that look like they could have been the guy in this sketch. In a press conference in April of 2019, Indiana Police State Superintendent Doug Carter said, quote, "Directly to the killer, who may be in this room, we believe you're hiding in plain sight.
Oh, it's terrifying.
We've likely interviewed you or someone close to you," end quote. And Anna was also present at that press conference, and she said, quote, "The conviction in Doug's face was intense. You could have heard a pin drop You could feel the tension. It was chilling. She went on to say, quote, "Hopefully they know who it is, but they haven't got the evidence yet to make an arrest. Knowing that it might be someone in the community makes you look at people all the time. Sometimes I pass someone and my hair stands up. It's strange." And finally, she said, "Whoever this guy is, he can rot in jail, or they can give him the death penalty and put a needle in his arm, but it will just be a piece of the puzzle put into place. But Abby will still be the piece that's missing."
I just can't even imagine.
So sad.
It is just so sad.
It's scary to think that someone in your community could be the guy who killed these girls. Someone that you may know is pure evil. It might be the guy who killed himself in that standoff with police, but they're not convinced enough to close the case. So it's also possible he's still out there. Okay, Rach, I know you would normally share a mugshot after I've been talking the whole episode, but something happened a couple weeks ago that we need to talk about, and that is Eminem's house was broken into by a fan, or a stan, as the kids say these days.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I would not go messing with Eminem. Like, do you not listen to his music? He is angry.
And because his house is local to our area, I have to ask, Rach, where were you on the night of April 6th, around 4 o'clock in the morning?
You're hilarious.
Well, for those of you who haven't heard, Marshall Mathers was awoken by his home alarm system around 4 in the morning on April 6th. And although his property is monitored by a security team, they apparently didn't hear the alarm.
They were asleep.
Yeah. So he decided to search the house himself and discovered a man standing in his living room.
I'm sorry. Let's stop right there. If I had a security team that I pay to provide me security, and I'm the one that has to go around my house and confront an intruder?
Yeah, somebody lost his job. So, according to one of Eminem's associates who spoke with Detroit Press, Marshall then shouted for his security team, who physically detained the man until police arrived. The 26-year-old man, named Matthew David Hughes, was arrested and charged with first-degree home invasion and malicious destruction of a building. He had apparently evaded the security team stationed in front of Marshall's property and then used a paving stone he found in the back to smash through a glass-plated kitchen door and enter the house. Hughes is now facing up to 20 years in prison.
Dear Lord.
And he was also arrested back in June of 2019 for trespassing on another local property here in our area while in search of Eminem. He was caught after he knocked on the homeowner's window and whispered that he was looking for his brother Marshall.
Oh my gosh, he's a loon.
Isn't that terrifying? Can you imagine someone knocking on your window and being like, "Have you seen my brother Marshall?" I don't know what his plan was.
Poor Marshall. No one wants to wake up to a home invasion. I'm just glad he's okay.
Well, that's all we've got for this episode. Like I said, I know it was a departure from our normal format. So thank you to all of our listeners and especially our Patreon subscribers.
Yes, thank you guys so much. You are the real MVPs.
And just a reminder, we love reading your stories from our listeners about some of your most frightening experiences. So if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night to an intruder standing in your living room,
Looking
I'm talking
for
to you, Marshall. You can reach out to us through our new website, hotcupcoldcasepodcast.com.
Woo!
And you can even find some cool merch there or subscribe to our Patreon and listen to bonus content.
Yeah, and if you did look at our website and you saw that super snazzy coffee mug, you may want to gobble it up. I have 2 left, and then we're going to change it up.
Yeah, and even if you don't have a story, please share the podcast with your friends and encourage them to listen. The more listeners we have, the more stories we can collect and share with you.
Also, if you're enjoying the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and other streaming services. The more 5-star ratings and reviews we receive, the easier it becomes for more people to find us in their podcast directories.
And finally, for even more things to keep you up at night, you can subscribe to our Patreon, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hot Cup Cold Case Podcast.
Hot Cup Cold Case is written and produced by me and Brant with music by Young Kool-Aid. If you ever need your mug filled
Or your spine chilled.
this is Hot Cup
Cold Case. I've been working from home a lot lately, and Rach has had to deal with my 90s music playlist blaring from our bedroom. And it's usually just Kiss from a Rose by Seal on repeat.
Yes, I daily have to tell him to turn it down.
Da 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 da.
Okay, stop it. I already hear this every day.